aliens exist? How did the universe come into being? Is there such a thing as objective reality? But far more importantly, is there life after a Korean pro gamer returns from mandatory military service? Our Terran player aims to answer that question for us. He is Taeja! His Protoss opponent from France is an up-and-comer. He doesn't have the trophies, only the hunger. He is DNS! A former champion, Team Liquid Taeja vanished for 3 years fulfilling his national duty. Now he's back, but can he reach his former elite tier in the current meta? DNS has gone for the early scout. He's looking to beat that Terran wall. But gotta be honest, if this is the Taeja of old, DNS should just blow up his own nexus. It would be less painful that way. But when you're hungry to take down a bigger name and there's vulnerability, you bring your A game. I don't know about you, but I'm excited to see what this kid's got. And the probe is inside and immediately goes to work on the SCV trying to complete the barracks. Taeja has responded appropriately with the second SCV, driving that probe back to the Terran natural. DNS is waiting for his shields to regenerate, and he's going to be back for another swing. You can feel it. Both sides are queuing minerals. Everybody's got a fast expand in mind. Protoss is going to hit the 400 he needs first and drop it at his natural. And a glorious black hole from Isle manifests. Taeja is going to need to drive that pesky probe out of his natural if he wants to do the same. Terran is sending a lone SCV across the map for a scout. He is making a Reaper, but it doesn't look like he wanted to wait for it. That probe is being a real pest. Oh, finally, Taeja manufactures the space he needs to get that command center down. DNS's probe is going to head for the hills. He knows otherwise he's going to wind up Reaper bait. Meanwhile, the Cyber Core is halfway to completion, and soon we'll be able to see Protoss's first major tech choice. Taeja's hoping to see it too. He's run his SCV into the Protoss base. DNS has to make a split-second decision now. Does he want to delay it, or does he want to reveal it? Neither one of those options is particularly attractive. But maybe he can vent his frustrations by bringing that probe back in to be annoying. It does reach official annoying status. Taeja pulls back his Reaper to deal with it. The probe is going to try to flee up the ramp. But 4 shots later, he's very expensive litter. But he's also our first blood. Now, I hate to pretend that that's actually a relevant stat, but I have been keeping track of it. And I can tell you that the player that has gotten first blood has lost 83% of the time. We'll continue to compile that stat on Zug's playing Starcraft until we get to a more meaningful sample size. And there's our reactor switch. Taeja immediately goes into production of 2 Hellions. Meanwhile, Protoss is just about ready to finish his Twilight Council. DNS actually did delay building that until the SCV got out of his base. And what will he do now that he has a Twilight Council? Oh, he's going to research Blink. Oh, that should complement his Zero Stalkers very well. Presumably he'll be making some shortly. Meanwhile, Taeja's first 2 Hellions are heading out. They will be backed by that Reaper that never actually made a foray to the Protoss base. DNS only has 2, soon-to-be 3 Adepts for defense. Only one is patrolling the ramp. I can't see him stopping Terran from getting inside. The moment is at hand. Hellions going in first. The newly produced Adept joins the defense. Hellions headed for the drone line. Adepts focusing the Hellions down. Second probe goes down. Taeja pursues the probe pull. Reaper's dead. Only 1 Hellion remains. He escapes to the north, deep in the red. Wait, but he's coming back. Oh, I think he might be trying to lure the defense away. Sneaky, sneaky. He's trying to play possum. He's trying to get his fresh Hellions inside. DNS is wise to it. He cancels 2 shades, so he has 2 defenders back at his natural. Hellions are in, firing away at the mineral line. 2 more probes go down. Taeja slays a 3rd, and then a 4th. But then DNS shuts it down. And ooh, he warps in a Stalker. That might go good with his Link upgrade. But Taeja's harassment campaign is far from over. His first Banshee has just been cleared for takeoff. And he's researching the cloak upgrade behind it. But DNS is going to use his Adepts offensively. We're going to have simultaneous harass here. We'll try to keep tabs on both, but I think I'm going to follow the Adepts because I want to see Taeja's defense here. My prediction? A lot of workers are about to die. The Adepts are going to arrive before Taeja's bunker completes. but he does have a Widow Mine in his mineral line at his natural. Protoss shades up the ramp. He's also wandering into that Widow Mine. There's a pullback, but it's too late. DNS is down to 2 8-ups as the Cloaked Banshee opens fire. There is just no detection. The 8-ups try for the ramp again, and Taeja opens the door for them? He deliberately wants to let them in. DNS says thank you and comes on in. The Cloaked Banshee has 5 kills and rising, and his second Banshee completes back home and he goes after the 8-ups with it. DNS survives the trap. He shades out. Meanwhile, an observer helps him drive away that Banshee. It's 8 probe kills for Taeja and his Banshee's still alive. DNS is frantically trying to build on his peripheries. I think he's trying to increase his vision so he can see that Banshee, which is going to make it tough for his stalkers to maneuver. Meanwhile, Banshee number 2 is killing off those 8-ups. Or he tried until it shaded away again. And DNS drops his 3rd. Despite the probe massacres, he's actually ahead by 2 workers. Taeja is still finishing up his 3rd, and he's going to have to fly it over. Taeja does have the bigger army, and he has managed to invest slightly more in tech. Oh, those stalkers are getting outranged. That pylon's going to go down. Once Taeja clears it out, the stalkers are able to go and defend their island. But that's just a diversion. A second Banshee attacks to the north. But DNS has an observer there. 2 Blink Stalkers can zone it out. DNS has crept up to 3 observers, and he's making good use of them. But Terran's now got a Raven. DNS says, I'll see your Raven and raise you 1 gateway explosion. 1, 2, 3, 4. And if we see 5, we'll see the infamous 7 gate. There it is. But we're not the only ones who see it. Taeja scans the main with perfect timing. Meanwhile, Terran is Maynarding a group of SCVs over to his new 3rd. Or at least what will be his 3rd once his command center finally sets down. Oh cool, the Raven threw down an auto turret to kill the observer in the Terran base. There, Terran's finally gonna get up to his 3rd. And Protoss is gonna go for his 4th. DNS definitely has the weaker army at this point, but he just might have the economic capacity to catch up. He's also just finished the Zealot leg upgrade, which is why he has 0 Zealots. I'm seeing a definite pattern here. It might be time to research Graviton Catapult for his carriers. But before I can finish making snide comments, he's already warping in Zealots. If Terran attacks, he's going to need a lot more. Though if Taeja doesn't attack, he can continue to leverage his economy. That hallucinated Phoenix is not going to like what he sees. And he's not going to see the Widow Mines streaking for his base. But he is going to get a good look at Terran's upgrade Palooza here. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought Taeja was banned from getting the stim upgrade. The tank counts at 3, the Widow Mine count at 2. There's something so dissatisfying about killing hallucinated units. DNS has almost doubled Liquid Taeja in terms of units lost, but the number isn't so significant that it's actually game-changing at this point. Terran has killed 17 workers to Protoss's 4, but Protoss still has a slight worker lead and is up on bases. And Taeja's 2 long-surviving Banshees are off to see if they can do something about that. They've got 9 and 5 kills apiece at this point. And they're adding to it! Working in tandem, they can now one-shot those probes. Stalkers warp in, but they immediately have to blink back to survive. Here comes the cavalry. DNS has to sweep in his entire army to push this back. He's really made it hard for himself to maneuver with all the structures he's warped in there. Oh my kingdom for just 1 Phoenix. Both of those Banshees are going to escape over the water deep in the red. At least the damage was relatively minor at 2 kills. For the moment, play is pretty passive as each side is building up their massive army. Protoss has its first Archon. Taeja is already building a Ghost Academy. And it looks like DNS is ready to start pushing out over the map. There's Widow Mines out there, but he does have an observer. Taeja is also pushing out with a Bioforce, and DNS is going to try for a 5th. Oh, I think Taeja is going to have something to say about that. But it looks like he's leaving all his expensive units at home. No Raven, no tanks. Wait, isn't that a Bob Marley song? No Raven, no tank. But now's not the time, because we've got a potential clash here. Oh, the Warp Prism's stranded all alone! Taeja eats it like a snack. So much for reinforcing that army in the field. If you thought that Warp Prism went down fast, vets will remember what they used to be like in the early days of Starcraft 2. They were made of paper. Nobody wanted to use them until some dude named White Raw showed everyone what incredible utility they could provide. Taeja leapfrogging his tanks forward to cover his 4th, while DNS is looking for vengeance to see if he can hunt down that bioforce. He blinks forward! Taeja retreats. He's running back for his tank line. The speedlots are in pursuit. That's a huge clump of tanks at the 4th. Boom! The lead zealots are reduced to ash and they're forced to turn back. That is a weird clump of tanks at the front there. Usually you see a much wider spread so the tanks can cover more area, but anything that falls in range of that clump is just going to be annihilated. DNS couldn't have liked that engagement, but at least his 5th is going to go up. Taeja's adding a fortress and missile turrets to his 4th. It's normally wide open, but it's about to become unassailable. Meanwhile, he's trying to stay active on the map with that smaller group of bio. And yes, those cloaked Banshee bullies are looking for a repeat performance. Taeja's also got 5 ghosts mixed in with his bio. Oh, DNS is going to try to poke in again. He must really like eating tank fire. He doesn't really have any range in his composition right now. No Colossi or Disruptors. Whatever he wants to do, he has to get in close. And speaking of getting in close, Taeja's Banshees have found a naked Nexus. He's got to warp in Stalkers to defend. A cannon completes for vision. And he's able to drive those Banshees out. Those Banshees now have 23 kills and are pretty much immortal. DNS is going to need to cut off their heads and fill their mouths with holy wafers if he ever wants to finally see the back of them. Oh, Taeja's maxed. He unsieges his tanks and adds them to his bio army. He's going hunting. DNS warps in 6 more zealots and suddenly he's pretty close to being maxed too. Both armies are 2-2 for upgrades. Oh, the Banshees are going to fly right over top the Protoss army. There's detection there. And that is the end of those infernal Banshees. But he can't celebrate because Taeja's going to use that moment to attack. All 8 ghosts come forward and launch EMPs. Protoss has a surprising amount of shields left, but not so much that he wants to battle that tank line. Taeja's going to leapfrog those tanks forward. And he's going to try to get off more EMPs. DNS dodges back. But he's going to run out of ground. Taeja's going to get on top of his expansions. More EMPs. Those shields are draining. DNS tries for the flank. He's got the high ground. He's got the concave. This is going to be the best he's going to get. He's reinforcing with charge lots from behind. He's going to have to eat costly tank fire, but he might just dislodge the Terran. But as the smoke dissipates, it looks like there are no Protoss left. DNS's army count is decimated. Once he regroups with his tanks, Taeja's going to be able to take that high ground over the Protoss expansion. DNS drains his gas bank as he makes 6 High Templars and immediately converts them into 3 Archons. This is not time to save for his future children's education. He needs to survive now. Oh, the tanks are clipping the Nexus. That's going to be so hard to hold. The bio curls in under the safety of the tank fire. The Archons have the power to stop the bio, but not to eat the tank fire. Cannon's gone. He's got to dislodge those tanks. Oh, he gets vision and blinks up to hit the tanks. And he snags the medevacs. DNS will live to fight another day. Taeja, though, will consolidate his advantage by taking a 5th and going on even bases with DNS. For now, though, Protoss continues to outmine the Terran, but he's got to find something to do to get himself back in this game. If he can get a breather, I wonder if he can update his composition. The EMPs are really reducing the brute force effect of the army he's chosen. Oh, Protoss is slipping a warp prism in behind. It's loaded with 4 zealots, but Taeja sees it. He hits it with the EMP. Oh, and the missile turret finishes it off. There will be no survivors. DNS did carve out an advantage in upgrades briefly, but it looks like Taeja's gonna close that off before there's a significant clash. They're about to both be 3-3 on the melee. And Taeja's got level 2 for his attack for his tanks. Once again, Taeja plants that massive clump of tanks and splits off his bio. DNS is going to make short work of those rocks, but Taeja's going to use the moment to attack him. And now he's pulling back to see if he can bait him into eating tank again. There's the blink forward. He's going to make that retreat cost. Taeja's like, wait a second, I got like a dozen Marauders. I don't need to be running. But I guess everybody looks tougher when there's 9 tanks backing you up. Oh, and the retreat is gonna cost DNS an immortal. Concussive shells, wrecking Protoss retreat timings since 2010. DNS will make a new Archon and a 6th Nexus. His trades have been inefficient, but if he can stay up in bases, maybe he can continue to afford to do it. Taeja is building another command center of his own, and he's got production facilities right in the middle of the map. Oh, and he snipes another warp prism. I think that's the third one so far this game. And now he's slaying Protoss units stuck on move command. DNS is trying to rescue this Nexus, but Taeja's clearly set an ambush for the rescue party. The Stalkers are gonna have to go the long way around, and they will not get there in time. Oh, so much for that base lead, DNS. Taeja senses the momentum shift in his favor. He's completely maxed. If he wants to build something, he needs a battle. It looks like DNS will oblige with his Archon Zealot. No, he backs off when he sees the tank platoon. Taeja standing on his chest. Protoss tried to split off a group of Zealots to set up a flank, but Taeja just went right at them. DNS is running out of space to back up. He's gotta fight. He's gotta fight like he's cornered, because he really is. Oh, but the siege tanks. Protoss has reduced the Terran bio, but at what cost? DNS is gonna try to warp in another huge round of Zealots. If he can't hold that Nexus, he knows he's in trouble. Taeja's gonna pull back to his tanks again. DNS pursues. And DNS's army is reduced to rubble. There is the GG! Taeja wins! DNS taps out. Well, DNS gave that a good run. But speaking of run, he mostly just ran into an insane amount of tank fire. Now that's actually a legitimate strat. Get those speed lots in close and those tanks become useless hood ornaments. And let's be fair, Immortals are the designated counter unit to the Terran tank, and DNS was all over that. But at some point, hopefully before the game is over, you have to concede it's not quite working. Now it's easy for me to armchair this. I'm not making split-second decisions in the moment, but the lack of ranged options left him vulnerable. Hear me out for a second. I know a lot of people don't like to see Storm in TVP, but when your opponent is separating out his bio like that, I see the upside. Mix it in and keep him honest. If you don't like that, there's ranged Colossus. Taeja didn't have to make a Viking the entire game. Or Disruptors. Taeja didn't have to worry about splitting his Marines anytime during the game. Final thought? Yeah, don't sleep on Taeja, people. Dude is back, and he looks to be rounding back into form. So from my base to yours, Zugzwang out.
To continue your Starcraft journey, Nova advises you to click the video in the upper rectangle. But Kerrigan warns you to watch your 6 and click the video in the bottom rectangle. Of course, you could always season upgrade and subscribe to Zugzang Starcraft. Just hit the circle. From my base to yours, Zugzwang out.